An interesting statistic came out recently that said that most modern smartphones today are over 1,000 times more powerful than the most powerful supercomputer from 1983, the Cray XMP. Now, you might hear that and think, duh, of course it's more powerful. That was 40 years ago, but I want you to stop and consider the following. That supercomputer was the size of a typical American master bedroom, but now we have that power sitting in our pocket times 1,000, maybe even more. And if you want to think of it this way, we can take that same size room used for just one computer and absolutely fill it with hundreds of computers that are thousands of times more powerful. So all of this got me thinking, how far have we actually progressed over the decades with modern technology? Instead of looking forward to the future, let's take a look back into the past. Let's take this computer as an example. This is from 2007, and back in the day it was used as an engineering workstation to design complex structures and intricate machinery, and now it can't even run most modern versions of the program, let alone a game from like the last, 10 years. That's a long, long time. And what's really fascinating is that all of these specs in here and all these components were actually outdated about 5 years after this machine was built, because this is running on DDR2 memory. That's about 3 generations behind what is used today. Now let's talk about something kinda interesting. In the 90s, PCs were less of a crazy science fiction item and were more common in households than ever. And of course, this gave rise to PC gaming, and all of that culminated in 1993 with the release of one game. Doom. And the revolutions this game had for modern first-person shooters aside, this game had some pretty demanding specifications back in the day. You needed a whole 8 megabytes of RAM, a processor that could get up to 66 megahertz as a minimum, and about 40 megabytes of free space. Given what you probably know about modern computers today, this seems kinda silly. This could run on anything, you might think, and we will get back to that, but remember, back then a computer meeting just these minimum requirements made it pretty advanced and sophisticated for the time. But nowadays, Doom's requirements are so low that it can actually run on anything. Since 2015, most machines ship with about 8 gigabytes of RAM, and processors that are measured in gigahertz, and nowadays we measure storage in terabytes. That means that most modern systems can run Doom no problem. Don't believe me? Here's Doom running on an Apple Watch, on a smart fridge, a scientific calculator, an ATM, a printer, and a treadmill. Doom literally running on a treadmill. Literally. I literally just got back from filming this entire video segment when my friend sent me something so interesting, I had to share it. Check this out. This is 1993's Doom running on a digital pregnancy test. Originally, I was going to leave you with something kind of dramatic, which was that original supercomputer that I mentioned at the start of all of this, the Cray XMP, wasn't advanced enough to even load the Doom title screen. But now I can say something even more dramatic. Technically speaking, a digital pregnancy test that is commonly used today is technically more advanced than a supercomputer that was used for deep space physics calculations. So, what is the point in any of this? Why am I talking about this? Well, I think it's so interesting to think about how far technology has actually come. Because again, when you think about it, we've gone from computers that take up entire rooms to computers that are so much more powerful and yet they fit right in your pocket. And then hundreds of thousands of times more powerful and they just sit on your desk. It really goes to show just what the potential for the future is. Looking forward, it's so easy to say, that'll never happen, that's impossible, that's hundreds of years away, it's never gonna happen. But maybe it is possible. Maybe 30, 40 years down the line, we'll actually have things like holograms and artificial intelligence and starships, which actually gives me a good idea for next time, but for now, let's head back to the studio.